Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Welcome Class 9 science students and, well, anyone with a curious mind. Today we are taking a super high-energy tour through the microscopic factory that literally makes up absolutely every living thing on our planet. Yep, we're talking about the cell.
To kick things off, I want you to just pause for a sec and ponder this pretty surprising fact. What do you actually have in common with a 3.5 billion-year-old boiling hot spring in the Puga Valley of Ladakh? Well, scientists found that the calcium carbonate deposits in those extreme, literally boiling environments might have actually helped form the very first protective cellular barriers on Earth. From those early protective bubbles, well, all life evolved. Crazy, right?
So the absolutely crucial point here is that whether it's some ancient, heat-loving bacterium from a hot spring, a massive neem tree, or your own incredibly complex body, the cell is the fundamental unit of structure and function for all life. Seriously, you're literally a walking ecosystem made of millions of these tiny units all working perfectly together. All right, moving into Section 1, the architecture. Let's look at boundaries and transport. Now, this potato experiment brilliantly illustrates osmosis. It's a classic exam topic, by the way. It shows exactly how water moves across the selectively permeable cell membrane. Imagine you take two equal potato slices. You drop one in plain water, and you put the other in a 20% salt or sugar solution. You wait an hour. The potato in the plain water swells up, but the one in the salty water, it actually shrinks.
Okay, so here is the precise terminology you absolutely need to memorize for your test. If the outside liquid has the exact same concentration as the inside of the cell, it's called isotonic. It's perfectly balanced. If the outside is more watery, it's hypotonic, and water rushes in, making the cell swell up like a balloon. And if the outside is super salty or sugary, well, that's hypertonic, pulling water out and causing the cell to shrink down.
On to Section 2, cell types. We'll be breaking down plant, animal, and bacterial cells.
Right away, you can spot an immediate visual difference between these cellular factories. A plant cell requires a rigid, thick cell wall made of cellulose. Think about it, because plants can't just get up and move to find shelter, right? So this tough wall gives them vital structural support and keeps them from bursting. An animal cell, however, only has a flexible plasma membrane. That flexibility is exactly what gives animals the cellular movement they need to survive.
Now, for your exams, you must know this breakdown. Prokaryotic cells are primitive. They're smaller and they completely lack a true membrane-bound nucleus. Eukaryotic cells, on the other hand, like plant and animal cells, are much more complex. They have a true, well-defined nucleus and they possess all these specialized membrane-bound organelles.
Take a look at this bacterial cell. It perfectly visualizes a prokaryote. Notice how there is no distinct nucleus holding its DNA. It's just not there. Instead, the genetic material is just floating freely in a region called the nucleoid, without any protective membrane around it. It's simple, sure, but incredibly effective.
All right, Section 3, the factory floor. Let's step inside the organelles.
Okay, you absolutely have to remember the mitochondria. It's famously known as the powerhouse of the cell. Its inner membrane is folded into these finger-like projections called cristae. And these folds, they're super important because they maximize the surface area for chemical reactions, giving your cells the ATP fuel they need to function through cellular respiration. This is literally the energy your body uses to run, to jump, and to think. Next up, we have the lysosomes. These guys act as the factory's cleanup and waste disposal system. They use incredibly powerful enzymes to digest waste and break down damaged cell parts. And hey, here's a pretty fun fact for your exams. These microscopic waste disposal units actually contain enzymes that help human sperm cells penetrate the outer layer of an egg during fertilization. How cool is that?
Moving to the command center, we have the nucleus. Make no mistake, the nucleus is the absolute boss of the factory. It's wrapped up securely in a double-layered membrane with these tiny pores, so it can safely house and then send out its genetic commands, which is your DNA, of course, out to the rest of the cell.
And we definitely can't forget the vacuoles. These are the cell's storage units for water, minerals, and sap. You know how plants wilt when you completely forget to water them? Well, this is exactly why. In plants, there is this giant central vacuole. So when it loses water, that massive storage unit loses its pressure, causing the once rigid plant factory to just completely deflate and droop.
Moving right along to Section 4, the rulebook. We're talking cell theory and division.
Now this timeline right here is an absolute goldmine for your Olympiad and exam prep. It tracks the entire formulation of the cell theory. It shows exactly how we went from Robert Hooke discovering cells in little cork slices way back in 1665 to Schleiden and Schwann realizing that, hey, all plants and animals are made of cells. But the crowning rule? That came in 1855 from Rudolf Virchow, who clearly stated that all cells can only come from pre-existing cells.
So, the really crucial point for how cells actually make more cells comes down to two distinct types of division. First, mitosis. This is for your everyday growth and repair, like fixing a scraped knee. It produces two perfectly identical daughter cells. Meiosis, however, is completely different. It's strictly for reproduction, creating 4 specialized cells, like gametes, and each of those has exactly half the number of chromosomes.
And you know what? Cells are incredibly smart about following the rules. They actually use programmed cell death to deliberately die off when they aren't needed. For instance, sculpting away the extra tissue between your digits before you're even born, just so you don't have webbed fingers. It's wild. But if cells ever lose their natural stop dividing signal, a rule called contact inhibition, well, that uncontrolled growth forms a tumor, which ultimately leads to cancer. Almost done. Section 5, Exam Readiness. Time for a quick revision and a quiz.
Okay, I highly recommend taking a screenshot of this right now. It perfectly summarizes the absolute core concepts you need to totally nail your Class 9 science exam. You definitely need to make sure you can define the 3 types of osmosis, properly distinguish a prokaryote from a eukaryote, match all the main organelles to their specific jobs, and clearly contrast mitosis with meiosis.
All right, now for a quick knowledge check. I want you to literally pause this explainer right here and try to apply what we just learned about cell division to a real-world injury scenario. Ready? If your skin cells started dividing by meiosis instead of mitosis, what would happen to a cut on your hand? Seriously, take a second to just think about it.
Okay, did you get it? The answer is that the cut just wouldn't heal properly at all. Remember, meiosis creates specialized gametes with only half the DNA. To patch up a cut and actually repair your skin, you need exact identical copies of your skin cells. And that is exactly why your body must use mitosis for growth and repair. If you guessed that correctly, then you are absolutely ready for your test.
Well, this brings us to the very end of our explainer. Think about it. If these tiny microscopic cells can dictate everything from your heartbeat to the very shape of your hands, what other brilliant biological secrets do you think are working inside you right now? Just remember, you are a walking, talking, breathing ecosystem made of billions of these tiny factories. Keep exploring, keep studying hard, and always, always stay curious about the amazing science happening inside you.